Hey there, it's me. So today I am going to do a review on Sandals Curaçao to be specific. So this was our first time going. We've never ever been to a Sandals all-inclusive resort, which is for couples. And so that was really different for us. We've been to resorts before in Mexico, Dominican Republic, and Jamaica, but this was our first time on the island of Curacao, which is beautiful, more desert like than we anticipated. But it was for sure, our first time experiencing the Sandals brand. And so overall, it was different than what we're used to. We cruise with Virgin Voyages, all adults. It's of course cruises are all inclusive. And this resort was all inclusive. It was just a little bit of a different experience. And so I'm just going to go through some points here. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to put them in the comments for me, and we'll go from there. Okay. So, first thing is the airport shuttle. So, from Curacao Airport, once we cleared through everything, there is a document, FYI, if you didn't know this, if you're planning on going, there is a document you may already know that Curacao requires every visitor to complete before you can leave, like a certain area, like to go and get your bags. Like if you don't do it ahead of time, they send you over to a kiosk which may or may not have a line. We were very lucky that it didn't have a line when we were there. So make sure you complete that. That way you can very quickly show them that you completed and go right over to the baggage claim. Okay, so shuttle at the airport, very easy. Very, very easy. Let me make sure my camera is not crooked here. There we go. We found the Sandals agents quickly. They passed us bottled water and took our luggage and said, hey, this is so and so. Please follow him. He'll take you to the transportation on the way there. The gentleman was very nice. They all are. And all of the Sandals staff was very nice for us. And he took our bags and he said, it just maybe be about 9 or 10 minutes and then we'll go. Please make yourself at home, get comfortable on the bus, and then we will make our way to the resort. And he said the lady told us upon initial approach that it was going to be about an hour drive. It wasn't an hour drive. It was more like, I don't know, it was more like 40 minutes maybe. Could have been 35, somewhere between 35 and 40 minutes. I think it just depends on traffic. We arrived at the resort at, I believe it was 5 p.m. And we immediately went into reception, which is a very nice place where they have people that are there, and they were very quick about making their speech and welcoming us to Sandals. That was all really nice. First of all, when we approached, and somewhere I may have a picture of it, I can put in here, maybe not. When we approached, there's a fleet of people standing there waiting on us to get off the bus, and they handled the bags, and they were so nice and so kind, and it was nice to see that they were waiting on us. There was no confusion. It was all very organized. And so in reception, there's coffee, there's tea, there's sodas there. I'm not sure if there's liquor there. It may be. I just knew that I needed to find a ladies' room really quick because I drank the water, and they'll direct you to where you need to go. Very helpful. And then a lady came to us and she said, Kim and Fenella, okay, let's go. So we followed her and she showed us. We went to like the main lobby and she kind of did like a little orientation telling us all the particulars about that. And then we were in a swim up room, which, is on a lower level. And so we made our way to the room. And my first impressions of the room is, first of all, when she opened up the door, I was like, wow, it's really pretty because you can see the water. But then my senses kicked in and I was like, oh man, it smells like mold down here. And so, which is very common. It's very common in these more mature facilities, buildings, resorts, right? And then there was water there. I didn't see any mold, but I know what the smell of mold is. And so immediately I was like, ooh, okay. But again, did not make a big deal about it. She gave us an orientation of how to open up the doors because they do have like sliders, and then there's shutters, and then there's curtains. And it seems like it would be intuitive on how to do it, but a little orientation was helpful. She showed us our bar, which she called it premium liquor. My husband and I looked at each other like, we don't recognize any of these names. So maybe it's premium for Curacao, but we didn't recognize the names of any of that liquor. Therefore, we didn't drink any of that liquor. And then there was a refrigerator that was on the floor. I guess once upon a time it was in the unit, but they came and brought a small refrigerator, and so it had like sodas, waters, juices, that kind of thing in there. And it never cooled. I don't even know if it was working. I don't think it was working because nothing in there was cool. It wasn't hot, but it wasn't cool. Again, no big deal, because we really didn't use anything in the room. But when you go, just make sure that your refrigerator is cooling. So we were there for 5 nights, and let's see, yeah, 5 nights. We were there for 5 nights. And so, it didn't bother us. We didn't make mention of it. I think somebody said that our ice maker wasn't working and they were going to change it out. I don't think they ever did. Again, not a big deal. So the room itself is beautiful. It really is. The bathroom is very, very well appointed. Please make sure that the outlets, you have to make sure you bring one of those converters if you have like iPad, the watch, if you have of course, the iPhone, if you have all these things you need to plug in, it will be helpful to get the converter because they have more of the plugs that, are not US, it's more Europe. Than they have like US plugs. So make sure you do that because we were in Europe earlier this year and I just completely forgot to bring it. So it wasn't a big deal. It just meant like my husband had to plug his phone in his phones in the bathroom. And I found a space like on the counter and I was able just to plug in my one phone. My other phone, I just kind of had to take turns with it. So anyway, just be mindful of that. Again, not a big deal. But again, the room was beautiful. And the housekeeping staff was top notch. Top notch for the swim up rooms. We were in a room, oh, I can't remember it, but it was like in the 1000s, right? I mean, they only have so many swim up rooms. But that crew, those ladies, they turned us down at night, which we appreciated, made sure we had towels and everything in the bed was made up, which was so nice to have the room refreshed, when we went out for dinner, and to come back to a clean room with fresh towels and all of that. Because the day for us went basically, beach, pool, beach, and then into the room, or lunch, and then, maybe cocktails someplace, then into the room to get ready for dinner, and then, whatever entertainment they had, and then we were back in the room for the night. We did rent a car, which I highly recommend, and I'll get to that on one of those days to drive around the island. It was really good. There's an Enterprise rental car place right there on site, so it was very convenient. And it was easy to get around. Okay, so so that's the room. I talked about the liquor. Okay, again, the room was very nice. The bed was comfortable. The temperature, I like it super cool. My husband, not so much, but we had the room super cool. AC was great. Now, one of the places that they didn't have any AC in the main lobby, and they had karaoke there one night. There was a ton of people in there, and it was very uncomfortable. But, people had their drinks and, they were okay. Everybody seemed to be having a good time, but you can kind of look around the room to see that people were hot, right? Which it was a little bit of a head scratcher for us. This is your the visitor's first impression, coming, it's like us. This is our first time at a Sandals. And this large room, on a beautiful, beautiful property, like the property in Curacao, and you don't have air conditioning. That was very different for us. I mean, it wasn't like there wasn't any air conditioning and they had these huge ceiling fans. No, they didn't have that. They did have doors open, but it was hot. And it was hot there every time we went there. So that was that. But going back to our room, the swim up um, pool was nice. You have two chase lounges, and there's a ton of Sandals videos on here and elsewhere. But they give you two loungers, and then they give you two floaties that you can, float on. And it's kind of not like, it's private, right, as you walk out of the room, but of course that whole pool area is shared by multiple rooms. So, my husband and I, on one of those days, we actually got on our little floaty and we just kind of cruised around. There was a couple of the, oh, not geckos, what do they call them, those big green deals, oh gosh, anyway, it'll come to me. And they just kind of appear like they're native to that area, and we're like invading their space. They're harmless, I think. I just kind of keep my eye on them when I see them. The big, oh goodness. Anyway, it'll come to me. So anyway, but they were out there. We saw at least one very large one pop up and, kind of stood and looked. I don't know if they get in the water. They didn't get in the water when we were there, and it wasn't a big deal because they are, they didn't bother us. So we just kind of, again, kept our eye on it and just kind of floated around. So it was nice. Initially, the first day, it looked like the pool was due for a cleaning, and they did ultimately do that. I think on Monday they did it. But it was nice. To me, it felt, with the pool swim up, it felt a little bit isolating. Now, if you're wanting to, maybe you just got married, or you're wanting to spend like isolated time with your partner, it's nice. However, please be aware, even with the swim up pool, you have two levels of rooms above you. So people are going to, they could very easily, and it's all the way down, right? They could very easily just kind of be looking, and you're down on your swim up, right? Because you're on the first level. So it's not private in that way. Now, when you're just sitting on when you come out onto the, like, lanai, there is a tub there, which is very nice. There's curtains you can pull for privacy, so that if you want to get in the tub any time of day, you can do that. And also there's like a table and chairs, and it's nice. That part is private. But once you leave out and you actually step into the water, you're open. I mean, it's people up above you can see, and if you get out on the little floaty or you walk around the little swim up pool, the other rooms can see you. So it's private-ish, okay? So, but nice. Will we get it again? No, we will not get that again. Just because the mold thing kind of threw me off. Again, it's not super unusual, okay? But I just don't like that. So no, we won't. And it really wasn't worth the additional cost to us. Others may love it. It was just okay for us. All right. So speaking of pools, I talked about the liquor in the room. Okay. So the pools. So the beach, before I talk about the pools are nice. There's more of a quiet pool, and then there's a very large pool, and they're kind of adjacent. Literally, the private pool is here, the big pool is here, that looks out into the beach. Now, I guess because where it's situated, there is not a real beach at Curacao. There's more like it's not man-made, but they've kind of carved out a place over to the side that's beach-ish. There's sand there. I mean, we even had dinner on the beach one night, and that was a little bit different. Food was delicious. Mosquitoes were outrageous. So also make sure you just bring, and it depends on what season you're going, It had rained. It actually rained, I think, on the day after we arrived, and I guess it rained before we got there. So mosquitoes were out. So make sure you bring some high level like mosquito spray, like Zevo or something like that. If you bring that Skintastic or whatever, it may or may not work. Zevo works very well for us. We live in the South in the U.S., and mosquitoes are pretty thick down here, but the Zevo kind of keeps them at bay. Okay, again, mosquitoes on an all-inclusive resort is not unusual. The only place that we never experienced that was when we were in Aruba, because Aruba has all these trade winds, just constant winds, so it's a breeze. When we were in Curacao, and again, this isn't Sandals' fault, it just is, there was no wind. Like day one, day two, it was just heat. It was heat, there was no wind, and so it was hot. Anyway, the pools are nice. Now, we didn't, try and get out and get like Chase Lounge right at the top of the pool at the big pool. We didn't do that, but there were six of us that were, there were two other couples that we knew that were there at the same time, and they did, and they said it was almost next to impossible unless you get up 5 a.m., go get the chairs and all that. Like, so that's a thing still. The small pool, not so much. The small pool, we could get chairs there anywhere. And again, it's just adjacent. The big pool is here looking out to the beach, if you could imagine the beach being here, and then the little pool is here. And it is just that. It's more quiet. And we liked it over there. We could get seats. There's a little bar right there. It was good for us. So the pools are really nice, very cool. And I don't know what they used, but they all seemed to appear pretty clean most of the times that we were there, which was a lot. The beach again is a little bit different. The water on the beach was almost almost like the consistency of like it was different. It wasn't super clear because we did go to Directors Bay, which is a beach in Curacao, and the water there was like clear, 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 clear. But maybe because, there is a dock, and then there's kind of a beach in front of the dock or next to the dock, and so there are boats that are coming on the other side of that dock. And maybe that's why. It was just okay. Is it like a little murky over there? So we went to the beach like for a few hours on one day, and that was really it. You could find loungers there, really easy for us. Again, it depends on occupancy, time of day, that whole thing. We didn't go, I think we went like mid-afternoon, like 2 or 3 o'clock on our first day, I believe. And we found, some chairs under the little tiki hut, and it was good. I got in the water for just a little bit, my husband didn't. And it was, I mean, it's good. I mean, I was able to cool off, and that was that. So the beach is different than what we're used to, because we're used to going to a place where it is a true beach. Like you can walk up and down the whole thing. So that was a little bit different. Activities. So the big pool had activities going pretty much all the time. Now, somebody that was in the other couple group said that she had a listing of all of the activities, and those activities were not going off, even though they had a schedule there. Because they had a day-by-day schedule that you can see on the TV, which means, you can take a picture of it. And if you're at the big pool and it's 1 o'clock and it says, you're supposed to have volleyball at that time and you didn't, well, when are we going to have? And so she said she was a little bit frustrated by that. I wasn't watching the schedule like that. We could just hear them over there because we were at the quiet pool near the bar, which was nice. It was, less chaotic for us, meaning we could easily go there anytime in the afternoon and get chairs, no problem. The drinks. So the drinks there were just okay. They were not super strong. The drinks are part of the inclusive package. They were okay. They were okay. Like I drink like margaritas, pina coladas, all those things. And you can ask for double shots and all of that, but they just put so much ice in there. And something in me feels like some of the liquor is not as strong as it is in other places. Okay. That's just me. I'm not a huge drinker. I'm not a huge drinker, but I could tell the difference because we on Saturday rented a car, drove down where the port is, and we went to a bar. That's there's a Renaissance there, and then there's a big bar right there by the water, very beautiful. And I ordered what I normally do, I think a margarita or something like that, and it was delicious. And I could tell the difference in the liquor. So anyway, just a little bit different. So just be mindful of that. Restaurants and food. So every morning, pretty much, we went to a place called Petra. We did one morning go up to Alos. They were good. They were good. I mean, kind of what you expect for an all-inclusive, right? Neither one of those blew our hair back for breakfast, but it was, all-inclusive kind of food. Dinner, we had dinner on the beach. I mentioned that down at a seafood place called Strand. And that food, that was probably the best food that we had, but it was like an upgrade, right? It's like $200 on the beach. That's when the sun went down and we just got completely attacked by mosquitoes. There was another couple that was sitting right next to us. Same thing happened to them. We had to end up taking like our last two courses like back to our room because they didn't have any occupancy in Strand. And one of the things my husband was a little bit put off by is that like he had to carry his own, like they like, here's your food, on this tray. They had everything wrapped up. When a butler or somebody should have delivered that. So we were kind of like, that's odd. Okay, the guest gets to do the work of getting the food back to the room. So just be mindful of that. Again, if you're going to do that beach excursion and they said these bugs, they look like termites. They only come after the rain, but they come full force. They come full force. So just be mindful of that. Again, once the sun started going down, they enhanced. And like when it was dark, it was like completely unbearable. There was a light there that they put and something else to try and mitigate, but this was after the fact, like the bugs were already there. It was overwhelming. And then even with the food, one of the things that we were sort of surprised about is that they kind of left everything up to our wait person, our server, to figure it out. Like, where was her support? Somebody should have been there. So that was a little bit different for us too. Like there should have been like a manager or somebody to come and say, hey, here's your options. That get it. There's a lot of mosquitoes over here, and they're really interrupting your dinner, and you can't really, like the couple behind us, at every other bite, had to like pay attention, right? We've done these before, but there's been wind, and so you don't necessarily have to fight with bugs in that way. So this was a little bit different because there was no wind on this particular day. And so anyway, they made it right for us. So kudos to Sandals for that one. Also with the food, the restaurant, we went to Gatsu. Gatsu, that was one of our favorites too. So the beach dinner was really, really nice. The food was delicious. I mean, the mosquitoes were crazy. Like I still have mosquitoes all over my body from that time, and then just from being outside in general, right? But mostly from that beach dinner, sunset dinner. But the Gatsu, which is the sushi restaurant, it was really, really good. It really, really good. We wanted to go back there twice, but just it didn't work out that way. The Alos restaurant, the Mediterranean, it was good. It wasn't as good as I would say Gatsu, the sushi place, and then our candlelight deal. And I'm distinguishing, the candlelight thing is right in front of a restaurant called Strand. We went to Strand for lunch and it was just okay. It's a seafood place. You think, although it's some of the people that were also there, they said they thought it was delicious. And so, it could have been what we ordered. I don't know. So the food was decent. So, would we go back to that? I think covered most things. Oh, they had bicycles there too. Lots of bicycles you can, and it was first come, first serve. You see it available, you get on it, you ride on it. We really like that. You can ride around the property. Some of the other people that were there did the pickleball, which is near the front lobby. You just kind of have to walk up some stairs and it's over there. And they said they really enjoyed that. Activities, they had karaoke. The one night, it might have even been 2 nights, multiple nights, I don't know. We would just went the one night, and they did have like steel drums, and so they try and have like entertainment at night for you, whether you do an early dinner or a late dinner or what have you. We also went to Butch's. And at Butch's, I was very, very disappointed because a salmon arrived to me that was raw. It wasn't undercooked because I eat salmon all the time. It was raw. It was raw. It was raw. And this was after we'd been sitting there for quite a while. And I think my husband gave me his lobster tail, and I had the scallops. They have fried scallops there, which I've never had. And so I had that, and they kept telling me, your salmon is coming, your salmon is coming, your salmon is coming. And I was just like, why is it taking so long? And it's like probably had to get it maybe from another restaurant. I don't know, but it was raw. It was raw. Again, we did not make a big fuss about it because I'm like, this is what it is. And we're not waiting, another hour and a half for a replacement. And, so just be mindful of that. I mean, this was at the end of the night. I think their restaurant was closing. And, so it's just a little bit different, right? Because that's supposed to be one of like the premium top-notch places. I will tell you the lobster tail was delicious and the fried scallops were really good. But, the salmon was not good. So, and also please make sure you make your reservations, because if you don't, they are, at least on this particular day for our group of 6, they were not welcoming about getting us in. But my husband had made a reservation for earlier and we didn't make it. And so they said, well, we have a group of people coming at this time, but if they're not here 15 minutes later. And I was like, okay. But then when I got in there, they were like, oh, but they haven't canceled the reservation. It's like, okay, which is it? So a little bit of confusion there. And then my husband had to go in and they were like, okay, we'll accommodate you, which it didn't need to be that. But anyway, just be mindful of it. So overall, Sandals the property is beautiful. You will get the most beautiful pictures there. Get ready for beautiful pictures at Sandals Curaçao. The staff is very kind, very nice, very accommodating. They are doing the best that they can. We believe that 100%. It was just some other things that kind of maybe not exactly what we expected, but because they do coin themselves as a luxury resort. We didn't experience luxury. Okay, nice accommodations though. So anyway, so that is my review. If you have any questions, just put them down in the comments, and we probably won't go back to that Sandals, but we hear the one in Jamaica. Both of the ones, because I guess there are maybe 2, both of them are really, really nice. And so maybe we'll try that because we travel all the time. So, all right, that's it. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and share the video. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Have a great one.